two elements of faster swimming is what I'm going to be covering next. I really think that we can break down faster swimming and what you need to focus on into two broad elements. Position is number one, tension is number two. And it's actually, if you keep your eye on these two elements in your dryland program, that's what actually ends it up being swimming specific. Because if on land we can focus on getting swimmers into better positions, becoming more mobile, more flexible, easier to move in any direction they want, they're going to be able to get into better positions in the water. Tension side is where we work on the strength side in dryland. If we can increase their overall strength, that also helps with power and endurance. And so then when they're in the water, the tension that they're needing to do with their catch or the tension through their core or kick is going to be increased. Let's actually look a little bit more specifically at these two things. So with positions, swimmers need to get in that high catch position. We all know that faster swimmers, more elite swimmers have a better, more elite catch. But that takes mobility. That takes being able to have some scapular mobility, which for swimmers, they're using that joint all the time. So it can easily get tightened up into a poor position. And that, not good for the catch. So having a better catch, getting in a better position, that's what we want to be thinking about on our dryland program. How can our dryland program help swimmers get into better catches by becoming more mobile? Another thing is thinking about having that low breathing position while maintaining a high body line in the water. That takes some flexibility to be able to move around the neck while you're twisting and moving the arms. So don't overlook something like that. Or even off the blocks on backstroke, being able to arch quickly and get into that position, getting the arms back quickly overhead. There's a lot of athleticism in swimming, but we often don't look at it as coaches when we're focusing on times and how many yardage we're doing. So make sure you keep aware in the dryland program, positions is what connects it to swimming. If you can look at your dryland program and say, okay, this is the part today where I'm going to help my athletes get into better positions, and that's through mobility drills, flexibility drills, maybe other things as well. Maybe it's just doing more pulling exercises or more hinging exercises. There's lots of different ways that we're going to get into later on how specifically to do it. But you need to know why first before we get there, or it's not going to make much sense to you. On the tension side, remember that's related to strength. So swimmers need strength in a lot of different ways. One is going back to the catch. They need to be able to maintain that tension in the high elbow. The weaker they get, or when the tension drops, then the elbow drops as well. So we have to remember too, how many of the little muscles are involved in the shoulder of keeping it up in that position. So then the big muscles like the lat can actually pull through and create the power. And so if those little muscles gain strength, gain endurance, they're going to be able to hold that catch better. So it's not for lack of you telling your swimmers, hey, higher elbow, keep the catch up, especially when you're tired. It's not that they haven't heard that from you ever, right? I'm sure all the coaches are nodding yet when I tell them that all the time. But what they don't have is the muscular endurance, obviously. I'm sure a lot of swimmers would love to have a great catch through their race because that's going to make them faster. But if they don't have the strength, they can't do it. Streamline's another kind of interesting one too, because it's also in the position category where, we think about the low breath, but on the tension side, if you think about slicing through the water, you need to be rigid through your core, fingertips all the way down through your toes. And if you're kind of jelly, you're not going to go as fast. Think about the difference between a rubber raft and a kayak. Of course, the kayak is going to go faster through the water. It's going to cut through. And so you need to help your swimmers develop that tension on land, learn how to develop it there, much easier environment, than take it into the water. And then it's a whole nother thing to keep that tension up for a minute, 2 minute, multiple minute race going into the distance events. The last one all coaches, I'm sure, know to emphasize in the water is kicking. Well, if you're doing a lot of kicking in the water and you're still a little bit frustrated with how much their power is in the kick or how long they're able to keep it, or maybe the back half of the races, the kick dies down a little bit, but you're still doing what you think is good enough kick work in water, it could oftentimes be land related because maybe there's a deficit in strength. Remember, strength dictates power and endurance qualities. So if their legs are weak, they're not going to be able to kick very long for very hard either. So this is where we need to be thinking about in our dryland program. Is it helping swimmers get in better positions? And is it helping them develop tension, hold tension longer, or at a higher rate? This is really the core of your dryland program, and this is what truly makes your dryland program swimming specific, is understanding the uniqueness of a swimmer, the positions that they get in, and also what types of tension do they need to hold to be successful once they're in the pool. If you can keep these two elements in mind in your dryland program, you're going to help your swimmers be much more successful in the water.